So the idea that I'm a Taurus, and so there's a bull. This is a Joseph Albers painting of a kind of a conundrum of a form that can only happen this way on a two-dimensional surface. It would be an impossibility to make it happen three-dimensionally. Any questions? Yes.
Well, I noticed that you have the marble, you have the unformed marble.
Yeah.
You talked about the importance of the corners.
Yeah.
And then you have the unformed organic things at the top.
Yeah.
So that's very interesting how you use
Yeah.
those corners and then they get.
Well, that's actually very much thought of.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, what I'm telling you right now is a kind of a perfunctory summary of a lot of things. But these things are, I mean, particularly, actually both of these paintings are put together in a way where there's a tremendous amount of obscure connections as well as clear ones, hopefully. But thank you for noticing that. Yeah.
What was the overlying intent, emotion, or motive justification for this particular?
The Fenice Theater is a theater that burnt down 3 times in Venice, and it was a theater that was a very important opera house. They just rebuilt it, they just reopened it a few months ago. I went there when I was a kid to see one of Verdi's operas at the Fenice, and I remember that theater is a kind of a holy place. And when it burnt down in the 90s for the 3rd time, that's the reason why it's called the Phoenix, because that's the bird that is reborn after a fire. It was like somebody stabbed me in the heart when I found out that this thing burnt. And actually, if you like to find out about it, there's a wonderful book that came out called City of Fallen Angels, done by the same guy that did, yeah. So, and it talks about this. So this is about the Fenice Theater, and the Fenice Theater looked like this. And today they refixed it. And what I did is, again, it's very complex, so I'll bring this with me, and then we can talk about it if you want to come to the gallery, and I can tell you about it. But this is about the Fenice. And I wanted to give it a sense of a kind of a kaleidoscopic sense of water and fire, because this thing is all about water and fire, and a kind of an operatic structure, and a decompartmentalization of areas that are almost crystal-like, because Venice is also a city of glass and crystal and reflections and refractions and translucencies and transparencies. So I wanted to combine all of those things in here, but I wanted to make it absolutely static. That's why it's an X with an absolute center. Other questions? Yes, Nick.
When you first started your idea with the 2 paintings, did you visualize these at 2 squares, you know, positioned as they were, or you just started with 1 and then added 1?
I go to work in my studio. I go to work, and then I start thinking about stuff when I get a pencil. And that's how these things happen. It's not like that I wake up in the morning with, with this apocalyptic vision. It doesn't happen. I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do is, I want to drink my cappuccino. So, the format came as a consequence of a whole bunch of drawings I made, and a limitless possibility of choices of whatever shape I want. And I came up with these 2. Okay? Anything else? Yes.
You seem to love stories.
Yeah.
And like this painting has obviously so many stories. How important is it to you to talk about your paintings and tell the stories? Because because you look at them now, they're mysterious.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But then, as you talk about them.
Yeah. I mean, I like to talk about them. I like to do what I do, and I don't mind talking about them. And this whole trip about let the painting speak for itself. Yeah, if that's what you want to do, that's cool. That's not what I do. I like to talk about them. And a lot of times, in talking about them, these things begin to reveal. I have to consciously bring out reasons that they're always sleeping in my subconscious, other than here. So that helps me as well. So it's very selfish in that sense. As far as other people is concerned, I mean, my experience has been with people who get these things and put them up on the wall. They're this big, kind of strange, a little bit maybe too powerful mysteries. But then as time goes on, they begin to become familiarized with possibilities within them. And when other people look at them, they end up talking about them. They become this sort of interminable well of ideas and meanings and so on. And that's what I want. And most of these things are not answers, they're questions. Because the minute you give an answer, you're stuck. An answer becomes an opinion, you know. Ezra Pound said an opinion is a paralysis of a part of the brain. That was his opinion. So these things are more questions than answers. A question stays alive. An answer becomes just like your dictatorial concept. Yes, somebody else?
Yes, I noticed from your work, it's just very dense with personal and non-personal imagery. Mm-hmm. And I wonder if, as you're doing it, if you're doing while you're doing any particular painting, that you must feel some enormous, just from the density, you must feel some enormous kind of pressure to say, to include things, to include more things as you're doing it. I wonder if you're, I mean, I know some artists work, they know exactly what they want to do while they have it on paper and then they transfer it to a canvas.
And I greatly admire that. I can't do that. Mm. You know, that's one of the reasons why I use too many spices when I cook. You know, I've got a lot of flavors in there that are kind of sneaking up on me. I understand that, and it's also a big danger. Thank you for bringing that up. It's a big danger to put too much crap in a painting. And these things have that risk, I understand that. But c'est la vie, that's what I want to do. Anything else? Okay, thank you very much for coming. And thank you. Please come to the gallery, have some wine, see some more stuff.